the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are called Jhani Buddhas. Dhyana means concentration, because feelings and perceptions should be restrained by following some meditational practices. And finally, the third stage means the development of insight. For that purpose, we need a real understanding of the nature of the world. Otherwise, the personality view or the selfishness cannot be removed. Therefore, Buddhism recommends that we have to understand, or we have to understand the real nature of the world in order to eliminate the selfish ideas. Then the people become common to all. Then, in brief, the above threefold training system in modern terms indicates behavioral therapy means morality, sila, mental therapy means samadhi or concentration, then the cognitive therapy in psychological treatments. But I have to mention here that as advisors, Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Thera, as well as Dr. Sarada Thera, University of Kelaniya, Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, we have started the course for mental well-being of the people by mixing the cultural aspects of Sri Lanka, Buddhism, astrology, Ayurveda or indigenous medicine and rituals. Then for the first time we have established here in this ground one counseling center including all these aspects. If you have leisure time, I invite all of you to go there and have a look, and also you can understand how we treat the people, how we eliminate the mental problems. There are hundreds of people who have got, because our theme is counseling through the cultural context, that we have to enter into the cultural. Without the culture we cannot implement any theories. Therefore, everywhere, wherever we want mental peace or world peace and mental peace are synonymous. There is no difference, because if we want to establish the mental peace, that means we should approach the culture. Then we have to implement all our theories through the culture. Without culture, we cannot implement anything. People will not accept. In every country, they have their own cultures. Then we have to, first of all, we have to understand what are the main elements of their culture. That's how Venerable Mahinda also came to Sri Lanka. But he spent 6 months in India in order to study the cultural background of Sri Lanka. Then they selected what kind of teachings we should impart to the people. I think that is the better way, that's the best way, that we have followed in our counseling system the same way. If we want to do counseling in China, we have to study the cultural context in China. For example, ancient Buddhist missionaries who went to China, I think in the 1st century AD, there were 2 main religions or philosophies, that means Confucianism and Taoism. Then Buddhism was introduced to China. One scholar mentions that Chinese monk, in a way, symbolically we can say, wearing a Tao hat and wearing a Confucius slippers and wearing a Buddhist garb, Buddhist robe. That's the picture of a Chinese monk that they say. That means they have mixed up very well. I think this concept of world peace by mixing is a very important aspect, because otherwise people are divided into many sections. They argue each other. But we have to unite. In order to unite, we should have a good mind. I think, for example, the Amitabha tradition. According to there are three main original sources in Amitabha tradition: Chula Sukhavati Vyuha, Maha Sukhavati Vyuha, and Amitayur Dhyana. According to Maha Sukhavati Vyuha, the Amitabha Buddha, before he became the Buddha, he was a Buddhist monk. He was a monk. He was called Dharmakara. Then one day, millions of years ago, there was a Buddha called, one Buddha was there, and this monk approached him, and he wanted to become a Buddha. Then he determined that in front of the Buddha, I want to make a world, blissful world, where people can, all kinds of people can be reborn there and experience happiness, only happiness, no suffering, and no death, no birth, nothing. all the time they should experience happiness forever. Such a world he wanted to create. That means he practiced the way and he was able to create. That means according to Amitabha means if Dharmakara, Venerable Dharmakara created the world peace first in his mind, then he spread it towards the world. Then everyone who remembers his name as Amitabha, 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 he can make his mind the world peace. I think that is the better way that we have to do. I think Venerable Dharmakara has given the good example by becoming Buddha Amitabha. I think according to Buddhism, according to Theravada form of Buddhism also, everyone has the nature of becoming a Buddha or world leader. Then I think that idea should inculcate in the minds of the people, and we should take a great courage by going forward, because we have differences. Because unity meaningless without differences. That is why there should be differences. Otherwise, people are, because nanatta kaya, nanatta sanya, people are different perceptions, different minds, different cultures, different bodies. It's okay. Differences should be there. We should maintain. We should not go to alleviate all the differences of physical and cultural. We should accept them. We should understand them, but unity in diversity. Diversity, because there is diversity, that is why unity becomes meaningful. If there was no diversity, no need peace, no need unity. That is why I think through these discussions, conferences, we can understand each other's face. That the honorable members of the Senate of UNESCO, they mentioned their faith, their understandings through their explanations. Then we understand their face, their countries, their cultures, but we understood one aspect, because all of them want to unite together to make peace in the world. Then that idea is very important. I think Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima has made a great step, has taken a great step in Manelwatta Institute to start our discussion, is to spread our ideas for unity throughout Sri Lanka and from there to the world. Then I think this program is very important, and I am very thankful to him for giving me this opportunity to talk here. And thank you very much for your patience for listening to my talk. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Professor Galmangoda. As you know, in Sri Lanka you have Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, and Christians. We all live in harmony. Today we are talking about religious and cultural approach from a faith perspective. I would now like to invite Professor Somasundaram Kumaraswamy to make a presentation on Hindu religious and cultural approach for peace. After this presentation, if you have any questions based on the two presentations made by who will be making one now and the previous presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and the presenters will be very happy to give you the necessary answers.
Religious dignitaries, respected state officials, fellow delegates from the UNESCO, brothers and sisters. Vanakkam, Om Shanti, greetings of peace. I am greeting you with peace. The meaning of Om Shanti in our religion, Hinduism, is I am peaceful. That is a Sanskrit word, Om Shanti, I am peaceful. So when you meet somebody in front, we greet that person by saying Om Shanti. Or in Tamil we call Vanakkam. So the person who received the greeting will repeat Om Shanti or greetings of peace. So from the very first beginning of our meeting, the first greeting is greeting. So I pray earnestly to Lord Shiva the God Almighty to bless this conference with all success. Religion is about thanksgiving to God and His creations. I begin with thanking the organizers of this great conference for inviting me to participate at this conference on behalf of the Saivaite Hindu community. I also extend my thanks to the Director Department of Hindu Religious and Cultural Affairs for providing me with unique opportunity to take part in this conference and exchange our views. I am confident that the outcome of this conference will definitely help to strengthen the mutual understanding
非常
and
感谢这一次
unity
呢，让我
among the
们参
various
与这一次
religions,
宗教的论坛，
religious,
因为呢，
ethnic and
这个论
cultural
坛的
groups
结果呢，确实
in
能够
Sri
带
Lanka
给
and elsewhere
带
and
给
also
斯里兰卡
to
呢，
develop
还有世界
a
各地
culture
呢
of peace.
和平与和谐。
What is Hinduism?
到底什么是新都教呢？
Hinduism is very ancient religion
新都教
and cultural tradition originated in India. Long ago. It is the world's oldest living religion, and Hinduism is the name given to the religious, cultural, social, political, and philosophical beliefs which make up the totality of the Hindu way of life. So they say Hinduism is a philosophy, at the same time it is a religion, and also it is a way of life, and that way of life is way of dharmic life, the way of righteous life. What is then the terms Hindu and Hinduism are not indigenous. The foreigners who came to India in the distant past used the term Hindu to denote the people living east of the river Indus, and the term Hinduism to denote their religious faith, a set of traditions, beliefs, and practices. The word Hindu, you may be surprised to know that the ancestors of the present day Hindus never identified themselves as Hindus and their religion as Hinduism. This word is coined very recently. Then what is the traditional name of Hinduism? It is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the traditional name given to Hinduism by those who practiced this religious faith in the ancient times. It predates recorded history and has no human founder. Sanatana Dharma means eternal values or eternal truth, or you can say eternal law. Sanatana means everlasting, universal. Dharma means, one of the meanings is religion, but there are so many other meanings. That is duty, right action, moral order. So it is a religion, culture, and also a dharmic way of life. That is Sanatana Dharma. No doubt the disciplined life with full awareness of one's rights, duties, obligations, and responsibilities, and practicing them in the day-to-day life with purity of thoughts, words, and deeds definitely promote a culture of peace. So it's very clear as crystal that if in your day-to-day life, if you have purity of thoughts generating, purity in words, that is speech, then in actions, if all these three are pure, peace follows. In short, Sanatana Dharma connotes a universal way of life for all people of the world. There is only one supreme reality. All humans and other living beings come from the one and the only same source, the absolute reality, it is formless, nameless, and attributeless. The goal of life is found inherent within. The attainment of peace is the goal of life, as according to Hinduism, or you can call it Sanatana Dharma. The attainment of peace is the goal of life. Peace, wisdom, freedom, joy, and bliss come from the inner self, not from outside. All these are not present outside us. They are all present inside. That is our nature. Self-realization is the only prescribed way to attain this goal of life, that is peace. You cannot learn, you cannot get it from, or you can't import peace. Only thing is you have to sit down and realize and behave properly, and in your conduct, character, in all this life, that you will have to be exemplary. It is futile to search for peace in the world, outside. We have been searching for peace outside in the world for the last so many million years. Where there is no peace, you can't get anything out of nothing. There exists a dearth of peace and harmony due to acute erosion of human values and unconcern for spirituality. People are becoming more and more body conscious, worldly conscious, materialistic conscious, and withdrawing from the soul consciousness. That's the whole trouble that we are facing now. Peace is found within us. So we don't go anywhere. It is within us. It is our nature. It has to be brought out through self-realization. Practice Sanatana Dharma in the day-to-day life. Love all, serve all, help ever, hate never. These four is more than sufficient to get peace. I will repeat. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. This leads to peace. The speciality of Hindu or Sanatana Dharma and peace. The speciality of Hindu Dharma is that it respects all creations, assures their fundamental rights to live in peace and harmony, protects all beings as it believes that the God is omnipresent and the whole creation is filled with the presence of God. God is everywhere. The Hindus believe in the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of the humankind. All are kith and kins, and no discrimination whatsoever is possible. Violence of any kind is strictly prohibited. Law of karma, that is a law of action, or you can say the law of cause and effect. It is not only for physics, it is also for religion. We call it karma, that's all. Law of cause and effect operates and no one can escape from it. What one sows, one will reap. There is no exception to this law. The natural justice prevails. The soul reaps fruits, good or bad, in accordance with past and present action, which are experienced either in this present life or in future lives, because we believe in the reincarnation. The Hindu Dharma believes in the rebirth or the transmigration of soul. The cycle of birth and death continues until the soul gets freed from bondages and attains salvation. Salvation is the liberation and rest in eternal peace. So Hinduism recommends to be born in peace, to live in peace, to grow in peace, and even after death we wish let his soul rest at peace. So throughout we need peace. Then the Dharma, righteousness and righteous living, is prescribed not only for the Hindu communities but for the entire humanity. The glorious Hindu culture, the source of peaceful life, wisdom, and of illumination, attracted eminent scholars, philosophers, traders, kings, and even conquerors from various countries in the past and even at present it continues to facilitate the world in peace building globally. In an age of globalization, spiritualization also should take place simultaneously. That is, there is no balance between globalization and spiritualization. So, and this must take place simultaneously in the Hindu dharmic way in order to sterilize the ill effects of globalization and protect the world from total annihilation. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which has a quotation from Dr. Arnold Toynbee, British historian. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which has a Western beginning will have to have an Indian or an Eastern ending. It is, if it is not to end in the self-destruction of the human race. What does it show? There should be a balance, an equitable balance between globalization and spiritualization. At this supremely dangerous moment in history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way. That is the balance of globalization plus spiritualization. By Indian way, it is meant the Hindu Dharma or the Sanatana Dharma. The Hindu Dharma concentrates fully on the individual to build the mind, to mold the spirit, and to increase the worth of a person by inner values. Hindu Dharma reveals the real values of life through its holy scriptures, the Vedas, Agamas, Idihasas, Puranas, and in Tamil, the 12 Tirumuragal, Tirukkural, Mehanda Sastrangal, etc., and other holy books. George Bernard Shaw, you would have heard about him, once remarked about Hindu dharmic way of life as follows. The Indian way of life provides the vision of the natural, real way of life. We veil ourselves with unnatural masks. On the face of India are the tender expressions which carry the mark of the Creator's hand. Now the religion for peace. Religion to the Hindus means not only the eternal search for the God, that is truth, or you can say reality, to attain the ultimate goal of life, namely the liberation from the cycle of births and deaths called moksha, but an excellent way of life, guiding its adherents to lead an exemplary, good, moral, peaceful, and cultured life without hurting anybody's feeling and harming anybody's life or properties in this mundane world. As Swami Vivekananda said, religion is the manifestation of divinity already in man. He also given a definition for education, because it is through education. He said, education is the manifestation of perfection inherent in man. So according to Swami Vivekananda, this divinity, spirituality, and perfection all within us. Only thing is we'll have to express it outside, elicit outside. Here the divinity refers to the divine qualities. So we need to go and say that this is which God, this God, that God. No, that is immaterial. Now what do you mean by divinity? What do you mean by spirituality within means the divine qualities of, or the divine values of life. Some of them I am mentioning here. Love, truthfulness, honesty, justice, peace, purity, non-violence, righteousness, compassion, sympathy, empathy, forgiveness, tolerance, forbearance, austerity, contentment, etc. These are all permanent values of life, whether we are from the Occident or from the Orient. These qualities are divine and spiritual. These universal values and divine virtues which Hindu Dharma or the Sanatana Dharma has been upholding from time immemorial have continued through passage of time unchanged and unaltered up to the present day. The words religion and dharma carry the same meaning. In the Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, the grandsire Bhishma, you would have heard about him, said, Dharma was declared for the advancement of growth of all creatures. Therefore, what brings on advancement and growth is Dharma. Then again he says, it is well known that without peace, no growth or development. Tirukkural, they are all in Tamil language. Now most of them have been translated into various languages. So here, the Saivam, the great saints and teachers who fostered Saiva principles were opposed to the caste system. That is one of the main items. And all other types of social inequalities and discrimination. So the Saivite Hindus are against this. They recognize the prevalence of diversities in the world as natural, and they accepted all diversities and were trying to find unity in diversity. In this peace is fostered in the Periyapuranam. That's an example. Now, unity in variety is the plan of nature. Now you can't, there is nothing which is unity. Everything you find all diverse. So in this diverse globe, unity and variety is the plan of nature. Nature's plan is to have diverse aspects in nature. But the only thing is we must see the unity among them. Saivism is fully conformity with this statement. Saivism is really a religion with universal outlook, guiding the entire humanity to fulfill its spiritual needs, enabling the people to live in peace and tranquility in this mundane world. Saivism is broad-based, life-centered, and spirituality-oriented. Spirituality is knowledge and experience, skill and values that could be applied to the situations in life. Spirituality widens one's own mental horizon and makes one broad-minded. Now, again I am quoting from Vivekananda. Religion is the idea which is raising the brute, that is animals, unto man, and man unto God. There are three levels, from animality to humanity to divinity. So religion is the idea which is, it is not, we are changing or transferring from a animal to man and all this. That is an evolution. So religion is the idea which is raising the brute, that is brutal qualities, unto man, human qualities, and later to God, spiritual qualities. The statement is more suited to the Saivite Hinduism. It is a religion, philosophy, a way of life. Now there are four dimensions of human personality development, namely physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual. This religion caters to all the development. Now what is the Saiva views of peace? The Saiva view of peace is universal. About 2000 years ago, Sangam Tamil classic Purananuru proclaimed to the whole world. About 2000 years ago, at the time, the classical Tamil literature, there is a saying, Yadum Ure Yavarum Kedir, that is in Tamil, meaning the whole world is my abode and all people are my kith and kin, my relations. See, this sort of proclamation was done about 2000 years ago in South India, that is Tamil Sangam. Saivaism is echoed and re-echoed the sentiments of peace and harmony and well-being of all, irrespective of denomination, creed, color, religion, culture, or country, whatever to which they belong. Now we wish like this, blessings and all that like this. Let there be peace and prosperity for all. If you go to the wedding, if you go to some function, if you go to the temple, we wish them well. So that is let there be peace and prosperity for all. Loga samasta shukino bhavantu. May God bless all with peace and prosperity, the entire world. So at the end of the puja in the temple, we bless the entire world. Loga samasta sukhino bhavantu. That is, may God bless all with peace and prosperity. Om Shanti. I explained to you. The Tirukkural, the holy text, preaches positive love, forgiveness, peace, and Saivaism says, love is God and God is love. So if you are non-believer in God, you will leave it. God is love, and love is God. That is according to Saivaism. Those people who are not in conformity with what God, all these things, they will say in our religion, we say it is love. Love all, that is, you are worshipping God. Truth is God. Practice truth. God is truth. Peace is God. Then God is peace. Perfection is God, and God is perfection. Justice is God. God is justice. Beauty is God. Wherever there is beauty, there is order and discipline. If everything is in a very disciplined way, you say how beautiful it is. So, beauty is God and God is beauty. Goodness is God and God is goodness. So we are worshipping. If you want, you can worship the God. Otherwise, at different levels, worship love, truth, perfection, justice, peace, beauty and goodness. Worshipping means give respect to these things and practice. So in conclusion, according to Saivite Hinduism, each human is potentially divine. The main function of religion is manifestation of the divinity inherent in the humans. Manifesting divinity means manifesting divine and spiritual qualities or values of life that are noble. They are universal values such as love, truth, peace, perfection and so on. Hindus perform temple rites and rituals, daily pujas and all religious observances, for daily prayers for the benefit and welfare of all beings, not for selfish motive. At the end of the religious observances, they pray for the welfare and peace for the whole world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Saivite Hinduism names the God Almighty as Shivam, which is synonymous to love, truth, perfection, peace, beauty, etc. Saint Tirumura says, the ignorant ascribes that love and Shivam are two. So the ignorant people will say love and Shivam are separate things. None knows that love and Shivam are one. It is true that love and Shivam are one and the same. There are diversities among people, but they are all rooted in universal love or Shivam. The presence of Shivam, embodiment of love and peace in each and all, unites the humanity. All human relationships exist because of the spiritual unity. Hinduism is liberal and broad-minded in respect of other religions, and as such, it recognizes, respects multi-religiosity and multiculturalism, universal based on spiritual unity. So once again, I express my heartfelt thanks to all of you, the organizers, this forum, for allowing me to speak for some time and giving you a patient hearing. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Well, before we break for tea, if you have any questions or issues where you need any clarification, please raise your hand and I will send somebody with the roaming mic. The question, I would appreciate if you can keep the question as short as possible, and please raise your hand if you have any questions to ask. I think gentleman over there.
I would, Chairman, I would like to pose a question. I am a professor of medicine, a criminal lawyer in this country, and I travel the world to teach medicine. My question is, when I go around the world, go to 120 countries to teach new medicine, I find absolute poverty, degradation, misery of human beings. I treat people free of charge. So when I see this, the world is full of violence. There is total destabilization of the world. There is vast majority of the people live in absolute poverty, misery and degradation. Now, I have studied deeply all three religions, and I do practice in my life. Question is this: what is the solution? These people who are engaged in religious activities, what is the solution they will offer to the suffering humanity?
Well, Professor Garmangoda will handle that.
I think it's a very important question that he raised, because of the time constraint, we did not explain in detail. But however, according to Buddhism, there is only one solution. That means every discipline, that means education, politics, economy, and everything should be in conformity with the three stages that I mentioned. That means morality, concentration, and wisdom. But you may think that this is very religious, purely religious. No. I take it, for example, it is when we call morality, concentration, and wisdom, it is the highest level. But in an ordinary level, if we take, I give one simple example. Suppose without these three aspects, we cannot do anything properly. I will prove this. Suppose that a teacher goes to the classroom to give the knowledge. That means, my argument is that without morality and concentration, she cannot give the knowledge to the student. For example, let us say, now we forget religion. Just we take the elements. The teacher goes to the class. The children are talking and moving. Then can she give the knowledge? Cannot. Therefore, she says, be silent. Right? Then that means, according to Buddhism, morality means kaya vachanang samodhanang silang. Verbal and physical restrainment is called sila. That is sila. That is morality. Then first of all, then but still the teacher knows, now the students are not talking. Then she says, don't move. Then they are silent. Then they are not moving. That is, morality is now finished, because they are restrained physically and verbally. They are not talking, not moving. That is the morality, what we call in Buddhism in the ordinary level. But still the teacher cannot give the lesson, because teacher knows their minds are scattered. Therefore, the next step, concentration, means one-pointedness. Then the teacher says, attention please. That is concentration. That is one-pointedness of mind. That is the second stage. Then she teach the lesson. That is the knowledge. That is the morality, concentration, and wisdom. This is common to all. Now, unfortunately, in modern ways, especially in some dictionaries, if we go to the medical dictionary, Oxford Medical Dictionary, there is the word mind. Everything is material, right? That is why, therefore, mind is not the outcome of materiality, but mind should be accepted as a phenomena, as a reality. That is why, therefore, I think mentality should be given the first place. That is actually that Venerable Chong Kung also emphasizes that education should be moral based. That is the first thing. Without that, we cannot eliminate the crisis throughout the world. That's the one.
Well, thank you, Professor Garmangoda. Any more questions? Yes, lady over there. Can you send the mic, please? Please keep the question as short as possible, because we have to break for tea.
You also mentioned that I can raise an issue or make my own idea, to the house. I would like to quote first from Kathleen Bogaya, the president of UNESCO, when she said religious extremism. I thought it's a very useful term, which I would, in my question or in my comment, I will use that. Then the representative from the whole is C. He said identity is not a sickness. That is also very, very important statement for the day. And then Nigerian representative said media pipers. Now my comment is, I know I heard from several delegates here that there is a misconception, especially in foreign delegates all over the world, that Sri Lanka had a religious war between Hindus and the Buddhists. Totally fabricated. What the Nigerian representative said, pipers, they are the international pipers who made this fabrication that we had a religious war between the Hindus and the Buddhists. You can ask Dr. Subramaniam, it's not a religious war at all. The Hindus are very innocent. I would say, I am a Sinhalese Buddhist. I would say the Buddhist, Tamil Hindus are far more innocent than the Buddhist Sinhalese Buddhists. So I wanted to put that straight, that it is not, it was not, it was just a terrorist outfit. Liberation Tigers were a terrorist outfit, killing their own people first. The Tamils, Hindus, Christians, Tamil Christians, and the Sinhalese. I think they killed Tamil Hindus as many as the Sinhalese. They killed Sinhalese. So let me dispel that misconception. Thank you very much for giving me this time.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions before we break for tea? Okay, it looks as if there are no questions, and obviously you would rather have tea. So the tea is now being served. After tea, we will proceed to the hall where there will be a sermon, a presentation by Venerable Ching Kung. After tea, that sermon will take place in the other hall on my right. So please help yourself for tea.